In the blue hue of early morning light, I dream. I'm at an event with my high school acquaintances and friends. We're still young, we're still in school. By the drink table, I see a boy I've had classes with since middle school. We're not friends, but we've been in a lot of classes together, probably worked on a project or two. If we saw each other in the street, we'd say hello. I wake up, and after about an hour, there's a voice in my head saying, check on him. Go check Facebook. I'm still scrolling, ignoring the voice. Check. 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 It keeps repeating. When I get to his Facebook page, I'm greeted with rest in peace and I miss you. Through a bit more scrolling, I find his obituary. And the words that stand out to me are, the loneliness and isolation of the pandemic were simply too much for him. Recently, I learned that one of my high school classmates completed suicide. And I had a dream about it and woke up, couldn't get my mind off of him, so I checked. It was very sad and shocking to me to see that he'd done that. We weren't particularly close or anything. We'd been in the same classes since middle school, but human life, you know. I was just very shocked and didn't have really any words to say. And so I started thinking about my own loneliness when I've experienced it at times, and I started reading articles about loneliness and just kind of deep diving, if you will. Like some of my other videos, I am going to rely on my notes because this is important and I don't want to get anything wrong here. But when I think about my own loneliness, and I started thinking about the difference between loneliness and being alone, but being alone is different because loneliness is a state of emotional isolation. To me, loneliness is a state where I don't feel like anyone cares or understands me, and I feel emotionally disconnected. As a whole, in society, we are out of the practice of interaction, and that's partly due to technology. I'm reminded of a case a few months ago where a Florida teen also completed suicide because of his interactions with an AI chatbot. He got so taken away with the role play that he forgot what was real and what was fake. He ended his life in order to be with her, the AI chatbot, because he felt more of an emotional connection and understanding and more feeling towards the AI than his own family or friends. And don't get me wrong, I love technology and the technological advances that we've made in recent years, most of them. I'm not one of those people who thinks that technology is the devil, or one of those Christians who thinks that technology is the mark of the beast. But it has crippled us and our ability to authentically interact with each other. I'm a person who likes to have things delivered. So I actually really don't like to be around people, which is kind of funny that I'm making this video. But I like to have my groceries delivered, and the person who delivers my grocery, I don't even have to see. I don't even have to interact with. But instead of having them delivered, perhaps I could go to the grocery store and look in people's faces and hear their voices and see them emoting. And maybe I could even go to a cashier that's not a self-checkout and interact with them and pay a compliment to them. And just in these small little micro ways, re-immerse myself into human interaction, or into more human interaction. If you're in a state right now of emotional isolation, of loneliness, is there someone that you can call and say, hey, do you have time to talk? Or can I talk to you about this? Or I want to tell you about this funny thing. Or I want to tell you about this little weird niche interest that I've just gotten into recently. Reconnecting and connection and emotional connection doesn't have to be these big, grandiose, tell me all of your deep, dark secrets type of conversations or interactions. And if you don't have anyone that you can call up and say all those things to, you can find a community in real life to be a part of, or even online, but we favor the in-person. But at libraries and community centers, there are plenty of learning opportunities and opportunities to practice interests that you might have, that you might be interested in, or that you already have. I've seen photography classes, I've seen bookbinding, I've seen Quidditch, and of course there are always group exercise classes. I used to participate in a kickboxing class and I loved it. And the only reason I'm not in it now is because life is lifing and busy, and it would be a waste of my money because we are on the move. We're in flux and flow. But just thinking back to it, I did start going to that kickboxing class at a time that I did feel loneliness. And I would go there even if I was absent for a day or even two. They would always be interested in what I'd been doing, where I had gone, and why I was absent. And they had already had my money at that point, so they really didn't have to talk to me, but they did. They showed interest in what I was doing, and emotional connection in that way, in someone showing interest in the things that you do, can be so helpful to your mental health. You can also, if you don't have anyone, find someone online. Technology. Dating sites exist these days not just for romance, but also for friendship. On pretty much every dating app or website, there's a friendship section, and on some of them you can filter the people that you want to find by interest. Another thing that you can do to find connection and emotional connection with someone is to be bored and alone together, but with someone else. We live in this society where we value being entertained or always doing something, and we feel like we're missing out or that we're behind if we're not always busy or in the act of doing. But just being in the presence of someone you like or love can also make a world of difference in mental well-being and in the feelings of isolation and loneliness. The biggest key to emotional connection is something that we don't want to hear about or practice at all, but it is essential, and that is vulnerability. We often find ourselves being less vulnerable because of the risks that are involved with vulnerability, such as being hurt or being rejected. But in order to make that emotional feeling connection, we have to be vulnerable. And as I said before, vulnerability doesn't have to come in some big grandiose tell me your deep darkest secrets. These are all of the big things that have ever happened in my life. It doesn't have to be those types of conversations, but vulnerability is simply just honesty and being honest about how you feel about something or what you think. It can be as simple as talking about your sandwich to a coworker that you got from this restaurant, whether it's good or bad. And if it's bad, you can be like, oh, I'll never want to eat here no more. And then you can tell your coworker. You've made a connection, and they'll be grateful because you saved them from wasting their money on nasty food. But connection is small, and it happens in such small ways, but they're beautiful and they're fun and they're exciting because of the risk that's involved in them. Vulnerability is allowing someone to see you without the masks that we all wear for just a millisecond, whether it's good or bad, whether it's big or small. Well, I've shared my 2 cents, and now I'd like to hear yours. Comment below the ways that you combat loneliness so that we can share and bounce ideas off of each other, and that whoever discovers this video can also have some ideas of how they can deal with their own loneliness. If this video resonated with you or was helpful to you in any way, please check out the other videos on my channel that have to do with mental well-being and practical living. All right, and here is the part of the video that
you've all been waiting for, my quest check. So I haven't really done a whole lot of fun things, but I did do an exciting thing that could be fun in some ways. But I got married last Wednesday, and some of it was fun, some of it was not so fun because, you know, weddings, but it was a good time. And I look forward to many more adventures with my husband. And it is very strange for me to be saying husband right now. Because what? Like what? But in the words of one of my favorite poets, no man is an island.
Is an island, entire of itself. Every man is a piece of the continent, a part of the main. If a clod be washed away by the sea, Europe is the less, as well as if a promontory were, as well as if a manor of thy friends or of thine own were. Any man's death diminishes me, because I am involved in mankind, and therefore never sin to know for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee.